some. You don't want none, so let me get back to my zone. So you how to bust one. You want some. You don't want none, so let me get back to my zone. So you how to bust one. Let me show you how to bust one. Let me show you how to bust. I'm a handshaker, backbreaker, knocking the wall out. Spout balance and foul, misses poking the
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Mack Lessons Radio Show. The first episode of the Mack Lessons Radio Show for 2011, and we're going to start off with a blast. I am your host. My name is Mr. Tariq Elite Nasheed. Glad to have everybody tuning in. Today's show is brought to you by MackLessonsRadio.com. That's where you can check out all the archive shows. Today's show is also brought to you by CashCowGreen.com. That's where you can step your gear game up. Go to CashCowGreen.com. And for all the new listeners, don't forget, you can subscribe to the Mack Lessons Radio Show on iTunes. Go to iTunes and subscribe to the Mack Lessons Radio Show. Also, today's show is brought to you by the book Black Players and the book The Elite Way by yours truly. Black Players, that's by Richard Milner. I wrote the foreword to the book. You guys can get both of those books at Amazon.com or BarnesandNobles.com. Real good game in those books. Also, don't forget to get the Tariq Elite Live in New York DVD, the Tariq Elite Live in Atlanta DVD, and the Mack Lessons DVD, the instructional DVD. You can get all that at MackLessons.com, along with all the pay-per-view specials. And I have a pay-per-view special coming up soon called Sex Magic. That's going to be a very off-the-hook show. So that's coming up soon at MackLessons.com. And finally, don't forget, Valentine's is coming up. So you need to go to TariqElite.com and get your sunglasses on. Get your cologne game up. Get my exclusive cologne, Risque Elite, at TariqElite.com for the player in you. Anyway, let me put on some Mac music real quick. So today's show is a very special show. We're going to get right into it. I have an exclusive interview with the member of the Public Enemy rap group, hip-hop group, the legendary Mr. Professor Griff is going to be on the show. Now, the interview, we've already taped the interview. I'm going to be playing that in a couple of seconds. Now, when I was doing the interview, I think Griff's smoke alarm, it had that chirping sound. You know, when you need to change a battery in a smoke alarm, you hear that chirping sound. So that was going on throughout the interview, but don't let that deter the game. The game was still heavy, but you will hear that throughout the interview, but just charge that to the game and listen to the information because the information is incredible. So without further ado, we're going to get right into that interview right now. This is Tariq Elite and Professor Griff. All right, we're back with the Mack Lessons Radio Show, and we have on the phone, we have the man from the legendary group, the Minister of Information, author, lecturer, all around down, brother. We have on the phone Mr. Professor Griff. How you doing, Griff?
Greetings. How you feel, good brother?
I'm good, man. What's going on with you lately, Griff?
A whole bunch of nothing and a little bit of everything.
Absolutely. That's what's up, man. Now, before there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, a lot of current things that's going on. But before we do that, I want to go back and for the new people out here, a lot of the new cats who are not familiar with Griff or people who have been living under a rock for the last 30 years, we want to let them know who Professor Griff is. Now, you're from the legendary group Public Enemy. Now, let's go back. Mm-hmm. Before Public Enemy, were you a part of the group Spectrum City? Because that was Public Enemy before Public Enemy, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, I was a part of the group Spectrum City, and I was DJ Griff.
Oh, you were the DJ?
Yeah, no, we was a DJing mobile unit.
Okay.
Right, so there's 4 or 5 DJs. All of the bomb squad, 4 or 5 of the members were DJs.
Okay.
Before I even really knew Chuck was even into the music like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I knew Chuck on a different level, right?
So, you and Chuck and Flav, all you guys grew up together in Long Island, right?
Oh, we did what together?
Oh, you guys grew up together in Long Island?
No, I didn't grow up with Flavor. He grew up on Long Island, but I met Flavor later on. I grew up with Chuck.
Oh, okay.
On Long Island, right? Me and Chuck participated in the same organizations and that kind of thing because our parents knew one another. I really didn't know Flavor. Flavor was from Freeport, Long Island. We were from Roosevelt.
Now, what was the vibe in Roosevelt when you were growing up, Griff? Because there's a lot of talented people that came out of Roosevelt, and from what I understand, Roosevelt is a very small place in Long Island. Like people like Eddie Murphy, Howard Stern, Aaron Hall, a whole bunch of people, man. What was the vibe like?
The vibe in Roosevelt was just like the vibe in any other small town. Roosevelt is only 1 square mile.
That's what I heard.
Right, and in that 1 square mile, it's very critical. Dr. J, Julius Irving.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple of members from Guy.
Yeah.
Aaron and Damien, right? Damien and Aaron, right? Eddie Murphy,
yeah.
Charlie Murphy, Chuck D, Professor Griff, and then right on the borderline, Flavor, Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
LONS, Leaders of the New School. All of us are from that area right there. Rakim was down the road. Eric B. and Rakim.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I forgot about that.
EPMD. I mean, I could go on and on. The list is De La Soul. I mean, I could go on.
Yeah, and I was just wondering. There had to be some kind of energy there to bring out so many talented people with so much creative energy. Now, how did you guys get hooked up with Def Jam? Did you guys get hooked in through Rick Rubin or Russell Simmons?
Well, you want me to answer the question how we get hooked up with Def Jam, or you want me to answer the latter question?
Well how? Let's go with how. With how?
I'll answer the latter question. It was definitely through Jam Master Jay contacting Chuck D because Chuck worked at Adelphi University's radio station.
Yeah.
And, we were just kind of doing our thing, with the radio and having parties and DJing and that kind of thing. And they brought it to the attention of Rick, and Rick wanted to, definitely wanted to sign Chuck D at that time. He was Chucky D.
He wanted to sign Chuck as a solo guy?
Yeah. And Chuck basically turned him down and was turning him down for a while until Chuck came up with the idea of doing, a group thing.
Okay.
And then Chuck found the name Public Enemy. But at that time, we already had some things in place at Spectrum City.
Okay.
With Hank Shockley and Keith Shockley.
Okay. So when you guys got started as Public Enemy, the first album, Yo Bum Rush the Show, did that come out in 86 or 87?
That was the end of 86. Well, you kind of figured we were doing it in 86. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So by the time we completed it and was working on other things, I don't remember the exact date that it came out.
Right.
But, according to the schedule at the record company.
Now, when I remember, because I'm a big fan of that whole era, the so-called golden era of hip hop. I remember, from my understanding, to me, at that time, Def Jam had just got this big deal with Columbia. They were signing certain groups, and the Beastie Boys came out right around the time you guys came out, and it almost seemed like you guys were used to kind of give credibility to the Beastie Boys. Was that kind of vibe going on back then?
No, not at all.
Okay, because I know I would see you guys in interviews, or I would see magazine articles with you guys and the Beastie Boys. So it just might have been a whole conglomerate thing with the whole company or something.
Yeah, we did the issues that we have now. If you look back then, there were none of these issues.
Okay.
Yeah, it was none of these issues.
Now, with the group, Public Enemy, the balance of the group, to me, was ingenious because it had you as the Minister of Information. You were just a no-nonsense guy bringing on the knowledge. Chuck seemed to be more of the diplomatic front man, and Flav was the court gesture, which the crossover audience liked. Was that a conscious decision to make, or did that just happen?
No, that was a conscious decision.
Okay.
On Chuck's part.
Oh, okay.
Because he's the one that really knew Flavor.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We just looked at Flav as some drug dealing thug, kind of wannabe thug, kind of thief. He admits these things. Chuck's father gave Flav a job. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Moving furniture and whatnot. Just trying to help the young people on the street kind of thing.
Now, I would hear stories about Public Enemy. Sometimes you guys would be on tour and they would say Flav would be late, and you and Flav kind of butt heads a lot. From what I've heard, how true is that?
Oh, that's very true. I mean, we got into physical altercations.
Yeah. You and Flav had to throw down. Y'all had to knuckle up. What happened?
No, it's no fighting, Professor Griff. I'm sorry, dude. Stop. No, I'm sorry. I'm not saying that to sound tough or hitty or high-minded or big and bad. But come on, man. Flavor weighed a fucking $1.05, dude. I was used to fighting dudes 200 pounds. I'm not. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Nah. No.
I've always heard about your martial arts skills, man. What degree are you? Are you a black belt?
I stopped that black belt and threw the damn belt away because it's not about the belt. It's whether or not you got some damn courage and some heart and you know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
And you in shape. So, yeah, I forsake hanging out and smoking weed and drinking and all that kind of stuff so I could perfect my martial arts skills. And like I said, I'm used to fighting. I'm small. Shit, I'm 5'6", 152 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm used to fighting big people, man. So little ass Flavor? Come on, man. Stop that. Yeah.
I feel you, man. Now, I know the whole controversy thing, and I don't really want to get too much into that. I want to focus on other stuff. But yeah, we know that you went through the whole controversy thing with the group. After you left Public Enemy, you signed with Luke Records, with Luther Campbell down in Miami. How'd you get that hooked up?
Well, that's a Chuck D move there. That was Chuck orchestrated that whole thing because if you can remember, I wasn't a recording artist.
Right.
I barely did stuff on Public Enemy's album. You know, a voice every now and then. A lot of research that I was doing as far as, the research that I was doing ended up to serve as the basis for the records, but you never really heard my voice.
Yeah.
I wore 4 or 5 other hats to make sure it ran well. You understand what I'm saying? So by the time the controversy went down, it was Chuck that went and talked to Luke about giving me a deal. I wasn't a recording artist. It shocked me that when he called me and told me, I'm like, so when you listen to Pawns in the Game, you hear me doing a lot of poetry.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I got the Laugh Asiatic Disciples, because I wasn't no MC like that.
And that was a very strong dichotomy for you to have the whole conscious image to be on Luke Records. Did you and Luke butt heads because of the dichotomy between the personalities?
Well, no, I understand your question, but let's take it back.
Okay.
What's wrong with being on Luke Records, a black independent-owned record label? Is that any different than being on a white-owned record label who were disrespecting black people to the umpteenth degree? Who had business in South Africa with their cousins and uncles? Who were probably responsible for eugenics program? Who are probably responsible and their ties go back to slavery? So I don't get it. Don't get that question. Don't get it at all. So we throw Luke under the bus and put him in a negative light, but all the other record companies are fine? No.
No, and not to throw Luke under a negative light, but the thing is, the company was like sex music. It was openly sex music, and it just seemed like there would be a clash as far as the images. I like Luke as a person. See, I like he's a hustler. I like that.
Okay, no, but of course there's going to be a clash. You know that.
Right.
I am talking pro-black and Public Enemy, and then, a couple of years later, I'm down in Miami with Luke, and we know what his thing was about. Right. But I didn't let that taint me. You understand what I'm saying? I'm a strong black man. I didn't let that taint me. Of course we butt heads. Absolutely. Yeah, we butted heads severely.
So are you guys cool now? Everything cool with you guys?
be honest with you, last year I heard that he was going to be in town at a strip club. So I waited, 1, 2 in the morning, got my ass up, put my clothes on, and went to the damn strip club to go talk to him. I went to the damn strip club, went in, and people were looking at me like, "Aren't you Professor?"
yeah.
So I went to the VIP. Of course, the brothers in the hood respect me.
Right.
Everybody knew me, dancers and all. So they was like, "Come on in." Took me to the VIP to talk to him. Of course, the ass shaking and all that stuff was going on. They didn't stop what they were doing, but I had a heart-to-heart talk with him. And I said recently I had talked to Luke, and I thanked him that night for throwing me a lifeline, because some people were trying to take my life at that time.
It's real talk.
And he threw me the lifeline, and I grabbed hold of it and he pulled me in. What little money I made there, I thanked him for that and the opportunity. And I told him, it was pivotal for him to do that because it helped me stay alive.
Yes, absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying? Regardless of what he was doing, but what he was doing, that was none of my business. Although I had to speak out against it, nonetheless, I thanked him for what he did to me. I said the same thing about Ice-T. Like, Ice-T was one of the only ones that spoke out for Professor Griff at that particular time. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ice-T, Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, Luke threw me the lifeline. I mean, everybody that we looked down on in the music industry at that time, was throwing me a lifeline, was speaking up for Professor Griff. And I respected that, man, and still love them brothers to this day. And people say, how could you do that? Ice-T married to a white woman. And yeah. I love the brother to life, man. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I probably wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for Ice-T and Luke.
Yeah, Ice is a real dude, man. I got a lot of respect for that brother.
Right. Now, I'm saying this openly, in an interview to people. I'm letting people know. Nah, I'm sorry, man. You ain't never going to get me to turn against Luke or Ice-T because, if it wasn't for them brothers, I wouldn't be around. There's some brothers that we don't even know that I could put in that same boat and thank them. But they pimps and hustlers and gangsters. But people say, well, damn, Griff, you running with these kind of cats? Hell yeah. They my dudes.
Absolutely. Now, the controversy, just briefly, for those who don't know what the controversy is, because we're speaking on it, were comments that were made in a I don't know if it was a news article or a magazine back in '89. What year was that it all blew up?
Yeah, that was 1989. I sat across the table from a black man having a conversation about racism, white supremacy, and who controlled the music industry. And I laid it out. Right. Like I've always laid it out. And, him taping the conversation, about 20 minutes into the conversation, a white woman walked in. And she came towards us and sat down. And when he introduced us, it was his white Jewish girlfriend. Okay. And they took that conversation home, transcribed it, and sent it out to all of the Jewish organizations. They put pressure on Public Enemy, and Chuck ended up throwing me out of the group. Since then, prior to that, I think you need to know the basis for that. I had received information from one of the members in Public Enemy, Brother James, on the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. Okay. And that served as the basis for that particular conversation. Since then, the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, part 2 came out, and the white boy on the internet asked the question, does Public Enemy owe Professor Griff an apology? Because what I was actually saying at that particular time in that interview was 1,000% correct. Notice when you read about that, they don't ever call me a liar. Right. They don't ever say Professor Griff is a liar, and here is the truth. They just want to come down on me and say that I'm anti-Semitic or hate white people or whatever, and none of that is true.
I remember when everything went down in '89, and Chuck was saying that they wanted to let you out the group because they didn't want people protesting Spike Lee's movie because you're
fuck Spike Lee. Fuck him.
Damn, it's like that.
Fuck him. You mean to tell me throw my ass under the bus, get me poisoned and shot because of a movie don't want to be protested? Am I not worth more than that? Are you worth more than that? Is your babies worth more than that?
That's deep.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm
No,
listening.
that's a question. Is
yeah.
your baby's worth more than that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Well, my baby's worth more than that. Because you didn't want a damn movie protested against? Shit, white people was going to protest any damn way. So you mean to tell me you get rid of me and people coming to take my life because you didn't want a movie protest, so you get rid of me? Stop that, man. Stop that. That shows you how much that damn friendship was worth.
Wow. Now, are you cool with Chuck now? Have you talked to Chuck? When was the last time you talked to him?
I talk to Chuck every week.
Okay. Because Chuck seemed like a real good dude, man. From what
Chuck is a really good dude. But shit, I'm a good dude. And I'm going to say what the fuck I need to say. Plain and simple, man. That's plain and simple. Because don't nobody pay my tab, man. Griff got to take care of Griff.
Absolutely. Now, during that era, during the golden era of hip-hop, you were attacked, and you know what? A lot of rappers were attacked back then. A lot of cats were getting drugged into court, the whole censorship thing. What was the real reason behind that? Because I know it wasn't about no damn censorship.
Racism, white supremacy.
Okay.
And until we understand it, everything else is going to seem like it's just, yeah, all right. What you doing this for? You understand what I'm saying? So we didn't understand it at that time to this degree. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, and Chuck was the one that made some statements, which Chuck did make statements. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He said the so-called chosen frozen. Apology made to whoever pleases. Shit, still they got me like Jesus. Jews came after him. Did I throw him under the bus? You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm just saying, no, we made a lot of statements in our songs. We made a lot of statements outside of our songs. You understand what I'm saying? So we can't look at that as a reason to get rid of somebody. And you don't want to be friends with them no more. Look at the shit Flavor did recently. You know, on VH1. It's like, do you look at that and say, well, wow, do we get rid of Flavor now? Because he's disrespecting black women and black people? And how do you handle that?
And how did you guys feel? How did Chuck and all you guys feel about Flav and the TV show and the stuff that was going on?
Shit, you know how I felt about it. There ain't no damn question about how I felt about it because I voiced my opinion. I made an entire DVD entitled His Public Enemy Lost His Flavor. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, Strange Love. His Public Enemy lost his flavor. And when they got whipped from what I was saying, that's my position. I never heard anybody else's position from Public Enemy. What's Public Enemy's official position on how we're going to deal with this Flavor Flav backlash? So I guess Chuck handled it in his way, and I had to handle it in my way. I'm a grown man.
Right.
Now, if you want to handle it together as making an official Public Enemy statement, then come to me and let's sit down and talk about it. But you ain't going to treat me like my opinion don't count or my position don't count.
Now, Griff, is it a double-edged sword with Flav? Because, like we talked about earlier, the image of Flav was needed in order to allow the crossover audience, so to speak, to be drawn into Public Enemy.
Of course, which was a beautiful thing and a very ingenious thing by Chuck.
Absolutely.
Flavor outside of the context of Public Enemy is dangerous. Dangerous, man.
How was he dangerous?
It needs to balance.
Exactly.
You know, the whole idea of the buffoonery, the whole idea of the court jester, the whole idea of it all, it needs balance. And you can stomach it and swallow it in the context of being inside of Public Enemy, because then you offer myself and Chuck on both sides to balance it out.
Yeah.
Are you following me?
I'm following that.
Which worked. It's a beautiful thing. But when the communication breaks down and you're not able to, when the whole Spike Lee stuff comes into play and you want to protect your friends, no. We have 30 to 60 million black people to be concerned about.
Absolutely.
And Spike Lee could have sat down with me Or Chuck could have sat down and said, look, this is the strategy, bro. This is what we're going to do. I said, okay, cool. Nah, that meeting never took place.
Now,
wait a minute. So even when Spike Lee had us back for He Got Game, it was Flavor and Denzel Washington that dissed me.
How they diss you?
It was Flavor that said he don't even want to be on the same bus, in the same room, or he don't even want me in the video.
Wow.
Yep.
And what did Denzel Washington do? What did Denzel do?
Denzel Washington, you know, you had those little private parties and that kind of thing, and everybody in the room, and there's photographers in there, the official photographer. So not to get a photo op, not to end up in a photograph with Professor Griff, you just kind of avoid me.
Wow.
This is black people, man, doing this shit to black people, bro.
That's crazy.
But you know, since then, we've talked about it, we've strategized about it, we've argued about it, and even right now, there's just some things we just not gonna agree on. You understand what I'm saying? But we still work with one another. We still make music, still travel, still do shows.
Okay, so you guys are still, you know, hitting the road and doing your thing together.
Yeah. I mean, Flavor gonna be Flavor, shit. But guess what? Griff gonna be Griff.
Absolutely.
I gotta educate my people, plain and simple, in spite of what Flavor's doing.
Griff, now let me ask you this: why do you think we have a lot of millionaire rappers right now? Why do you think some of these rappers and hip hop players out here, they've never put together a black-owned distribution network, so they don't have to worry about getting banned or censored by other people? Why do you think they've never done that?
Well, this is precisely what I talked about in my lecture, The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop. I said these brothers got together and was talking about a black distribution company. Jay Prince, let me see if I can remember. Jay Prince,
the Suge Knight and Irv.
Suge Knight, right. And, you know, and they got together to discuss it. And I tell people, it was Jay-Z that took that information back to the powers that be. That distribution company never got off the ground. And you see where Jay-Z is now? And look where everyone else is.
Yeah.
Let's just stop and think for a second now. They brought Dame Dash down to the level where he probably have to go get a job or continue his business, but not at the degree where he had it before. And I love Dame Dash's energy, his smarts, his street savvy. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, the same with Irv Gotti. They got put up on public trial for fraud and what was some of the other charges? It was a list of charges, man.
Yeah, it was.
A public trial, him and his brother. You see what happened to Suge?
Yeah.
And who else was it? It was Suge, Irv Gotti, his brother, Jay Prince. Jay Prince was under investigation by the FBI.
Yeah.
I had information on that I yet to release. And then he ended up blasting me in the magazine, and I went public and offered him an apology. I said, I didn't mean to say that you benefited from Pimp C's death. I don't know if you did. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But I was just looking into the fact that Pimp C died. Shakir Stewart died. By strange circumstance, Jennifer Hudson's family died. Left Eye died when she was signed to death row. Biggie died. Tupac died. And I said, enough is enough. Shit, enough is enough, man. So when I started putting together the psychological covert war on hip-hop, you see, it was nothing when it was the Pacify Antidote.
Yeah.
It was nothing when I was doing that lecture, the Pacify Antidote, and we were being pacified through a pacification process to keep quiet. As long as we got money and a nice car and a nice home and a white woman, we fine. But now when I started questioning people are benefiting from the deaths of these people, now it became a problem. So in order for me to get to the real enemy, I had to speak on these people that were surrounding me. And then now when I got to the point where I took it all the way up to Tavistock Institute, the Committee of 300, the Illuminati, and these people, okay, now they want to shoot at Professor Griff. Now you want to burn my house down. Now I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Now, because you've spoken extensively about the Hip Hop Illuminati. You've talked a lot about the Hip Hop Illuminati.
No, I think you got the language confused. I don't want to confuse people.
Exactly.
The Illuminati's influence and takeover of the culture called hip hop.
There we go.
Right.
Much better.
Okay. That's clear.
Because, again, there's no Hip Hop Illuminati. Because people always say, well, do I think that Raz B is in the Illuminati? I don't think that Raz B or one of these people are sitting at the table with a Rockefeller. You have to have more.
Hell no.
Exactly. See, that's the thing. We accuse a lot of smaller people of being with the Illuminati. But I think that there is an
Can we clear that up, though?
Yeah, let's clear it up.
First of all, there's 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati, which Raz B, Jay-Z, and the rest of them are not a part of.
Of course.
So stop that.
Of course.
Just with that one statement right there alone, no. These people are blue bloods, man. They're not going to let you in that bloodline. So much so, Jay-Z had to go out and purchase a color blue. It's called Jay-Z Blue. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so Barack Obama had to be in the bloodline in order to sit where he's sitting. So we need to figure out who his mama is, figure that bloodline out. Exactly. And how Barack Obama related to Dick Cheney and the rest of them. Fascinating research, man. It's a fascinating story. It makes a good read, man. And some people may not believe it, but I'm not operating on who believes what. I don't give a damn what people believe. I know what I'm saying is the truth.
But there has been a covert war on the black community for a long time. Who are the people on the top, in your opinion, do you feel that are orchestrating this?
Some people call them the hidden hand. They go by different names, different organizations. But I think if you look at the top, you could honestly say that, and I can give you a document right now that will give you a hint who these people are. I can give you the name of a document. We say the Illuminati because Illuminati simply means holders of the light.
Right.
And the Illuminati, we don't know who these people are. We know their front organizations. We know some of the key figures. But the people on the inside, we can't call them by name.
Yes.
We could name the families because this stuff is written. And it's written by white people. To other white people. It's just that we're smart enough to go across the fence. And like Cat Williams said, I have some good white friends that give me some good white information.
Yeah.
So I'm able to bring this to black people to get us to understand what's going on. Steve Coakley, some time ago, connected the dots for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have this information. And this is not something that's, so far-fetched to the point where we can't connect the dots and figure these people out. We see the results of what they're doing. Like the chemicals that was put in the air that killed those birds.
Yes, yes.
We know who these people are. We know what the plan is. We know the chemicals. We know how it was done. We know the role that HAARP plays in it. You understand what I'm saying? So we understand these things. It's not really news.
I think yesterday there were like 2 million fish in Maryland somewhere that turned up dead. So it's birds, fish. What's going on with all this stuff out here, man?
They're throwing the planet out of whack, man, to be honest with you. It's very critical, man. Very, very critical. But we can get deep into that a little bit later on. But you could dig up the document that I was just talking about. It's called The Secret Covenant.
The Secret Covenant. When was that document created?
I believe the turn of the century. We're talking about late 1800s.
Okay.
And they revised it.
And in the Secret Covenant, they were talking about their plan.
Wow. Yeah, bro. And I don't want to, spook people, if I could use that term, no pun intended.
Yeah.
No disrespect to anyone, but yeah, they Yeah, they laid out a plan and they revised the plan, and it's really, really laid out in such a degree where if the average person is reading it and they're not familiar with the diabolical plan that's put in place, they may look at it as being something else or write it off as conspiracy theory. That's how they want you to deal with it. Are you following me?
Yeah.
Oh, it's nothing but conspiracy theory, yada, 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 whatever. And it's like, oh, okay. And they write it off. And as we go on and live our daily lives, all of these things are taking place. I could highlight some of the things for you. I can't read the whole document.
Of course.
They says, from the top, the Secret Covenant, an illusion. It will be so large, so vast, it will escape their perception. Those who will see it, it will be thought of as insane. And those that propagate it, those that speak about it and against it, will be written off as insane. It says we will create separate fronts to prevent them from seeing the connection between us, those conspirators.
Yeah.
It says we will behave as if we are not connected to keep the illusion alive. Our goal will be to accomplish. Pardon me. Our goal will be accomplished one drop at a time, so as to never bring suspicion upon ourselves. This will also prevent them from seeing the changes as they occur. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute. We will work together always, and we will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks of this. We will keep their lifespan short and their minds weak while pretending to do the opposite. We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so they will never see what is happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators, and sedatives in their food and water, also in their air. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find cures from our many fronts, yet we will feed them more poisons. The poisons will be absorbed through their skin and their mouths, and it will destroy their minds and their reproductive systems. From all of this, their children will be born dead, and we will conceal this information. The poisons will be hidden in everything that surrounds them, in what they drink, eat, breathe, and wear. We must be ingenious in dispensing the poisons, for they can see far. We will teach them that the poisons are good, with fun images and musical tones. They will look up, they will look up to, those that look up to us, it will help. We will help. We will enlist them to push our poisons.
That's deep.
Those that look up to us, they will help us, and we will enlist them to push our poisons. They will see our products being used in film and will grow accustomed to using them and will never know their true effect. When they give birth, we will inject poisons into their blood of their children and convince them it will be for their help. That will convince them it is for their help. We will start early on. When their minds are young, we will target their children and what their children love the most, sweet things, they call it.
Yeah.
It says when their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will kill their minds and steal their future.
Wow.
When their ability to learn has been affected, we will create medicine that will make them sicker and cause other diseases, for which we will create yet more medicine. We will render them docile and weak before us by our power. It says they will grow depressed, slow, obese, And when they come to us for help, we will give them more poison. We will focus their attention towards money and material goods so that they may never connect with their inner self. We will distract them with fornication, internal pleasures, and games so that they may never be one with themselves and the rest of their people. Their minds will belong to us, and they will do as we say. They will refuse. Pardon me. If they refuse, we shall find ways to implement mind-altering technology into their lives. We will use fear as our weapon. We will use religion as our weapon. We will establish their governments and establish opposites within. We will own both sides. We will always hide our objectives by carrying out our plan. They will perform the labor for us, and we shall prosper for their toil. Our families will never mix with theirs. Our blood must be pure, and always, for it is the way. We will make them kill each other when it suits us. We will keep them separated from our oneness by our dogma and religion. We will control all aspects of their lives and tell them what to think and how to think. We will guide them kindly and gently, letting them think that they are guiding themselves. We will foment animosity. We will guide them, and we will foment animosity between them and their factions. I could go on and on, but this is their writing, not Professor Griff's writing. This is the secret covenant. This is what's going on today. It's another 3 pages to this.
That's heavy.
This is deep, man, and this is what's going on today.
And they're poisoning the minds. A lot of people don't know about these chemtrails that's been going on for a long time.
We don't know about the chemtrails. We don't know about the fluoride in the water. We don't know about the manure and the dangers of vaccines that they're injecting our children with. We don't know about the mercury in the fillings in our teeth. We don't know about these things. We don't know about the Illuminati coming in and revamping and revising the Bible every couple of years.
As far
as this is their plan.
As far as religion, you spoke about religion. Religion is, I'm like the devil's advocate as far as that, because a lot of stuff in religion has been used to hurt. Religion helped get black people through slavery to a certain degree. What's your take on religion overall? Modern
I think religion is the opium of the masses, man. Religion, the black church, helped us get through what we needed to get through. It seemed like once we start to see the light of the day, the black church was just opted out and to become the purveyors of this madness that we call churchianity today.
You call it
not even Christianity.
Churchianity?
Churchianity.
What's churchianity?
Churchianity?
Yeah.
Well, we go to church. We're the most praying people on the planet. But nothing ever happens. We're still not free. We still got the white Jesus on the wall. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We need to step the game. We got ATM machines in the church now. We got mega churches, 20 or 30,000 people. When you go to the church, all the black men, not all, but the majority of the black men you see are weak, gay, homosexual. And this is what the church is producing. And we become good singers and dancers, and we pray to the white Jesus, but nothing ever comes of it. Dumbing down our people. It's sad that when we speak up and say, well, no, here's some truth that we've uncovered. Like, for example, recently, I've connected with some other brothers that have joined the research team, and some information was passed on to me that I passed on to some of the good brothers that are Christians, and they wanted to come out against me. I asked them to look up the Pisos family, P-I-S-O-S. The Pisos family was the ones that was actually commissioned by the aristocrat at that particular time to rewrite or write, pardon me, the New Testament. The document is called The True Authorship of the New Testament by Abelard Reichland. And the name is the name of the book is The True Authorship of the New Testament. Arius Calpurnius Piso. The pen name was Flavius Josephus.
Around what year did they do this?
Let me see. I had the document right here in front of me. Published by yada yada yada. Block. First printing was 1979. Second printing is 1986 in paperback, but the information dates back some time ago. And it talks about, hold on for a second. It says, while we will welcome you to the inner circle, yada yada. It talks about the Pisos family when it was King James authorized the writing of the scripture.
So was this around the 1600s?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Probably before then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's heavy. That's
right.
heavy. That's heavy. And in religion, man, it has been used as a crutch. It was used as a source of strength for a while, but then it became a crutch for many. And to a certain degree, it is detrimental to the community. But the church will do some good things on one hand, which a lot of us in the conscious community, we should do more. Not just us, but a lot of us. We should be able to do more. So it's a real touchy subject about religion. It's a double-edged sword, and I'm not a religious dude at all.
Me either. But
Yeah.
we could honestly say, but does the black church, does the good outweigh the bad in 2011?
Yeah,
You understand what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And you look at it now, and it's like, I just cannot, for the life of me, it's hard for me to respect these guys, man, when they're living in 12 and 13 room mansions with just them and their wife and their 2 children and 13 cars, and people are taking the bus and walking to church every Sunday in the Bible study. I don't get that. I'm not going to get that. You understand what I'm saying? Because if Christians are Christ-like and pattern themselves after the life of the black revolutionary Messiah, Yahshua, they may call him Jesus.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, Jesus never rolled like that. Did he?
No.
So I'm saying, man, if we're Christ-like, then I don't see the likeness of Christ there.
Right.
With the Creflo want some more dollars and the TD Snakes and the Eddie Wrongs and the rest of these people.
Now
I don't get it, man.
Now you spoke earlier a few minutes ago about the feminization of some of the guys in church. There was something, man, that just came out again. There's this thing that they're promoting on these morning shows, and I've been seeing it all over the net. This thing called My Prince's Boy. And I've had conversations with Dr. Francis Cress Welsing about this. What do you think is behind the effeminization of black boys? They're really going out of their way to show an effeminized image of black boys. And they're going, it's not even covert, it's really overt now. They're not even trying to hide it no more, it seems.
My Prince's Boy. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Where the woman allows the boy to dress up.
Exactly. And she has a book called, she has her son, he's like 5 years old, and he's walking around with a little dress on, climbing trees with a little skirt. Literally.
Wow. Now, from what I understand, the mom is black or white. I thought the mom was white.
No, she's mixed. She's a mulatto. She's mixed. A lot of people think she's white, but she's mixed. She's mixed, and the dad is black. And that whole story just seems weird. I don't know if somebody got to them for them just to be out of nowhere with this, and they're on all these talk shows, and they got a major publishing deal. That just seems a little weird and contrived, and it seems like something else is behind it.
Right. Yeah, I have to look into that, because to be honest with you, when I first seen that, I really didn't believe it. I was like, nah, not that. Then I started asking, where's the father?
Yeah, the dad, he's a black guy. He's around. The dad was kind of co-signing everything.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not good.
Not good at all.
Not at all. Okay. Yeah, I have to look into that. That's just, when I first heard it, I'm like, I thought it was a joke.
No, that's absolutely real. It looked like a comedy skit, but it's absolutely real. But just in general, do you think that there's a conscious effort to effeminize black men and black boys in particular?
Yes, of course. There's a good friend of mine, in Wally Muke Bomani Baruti. He wrote the book Homosexuality and the Feminization of the African Male, in which I talk about in my lecture, The Psychological Covert War on Hip-Hop. And we go through the whole thing with the rappers and the whole idea of, the feminization. And it's there. I talk about it in reference to it being a ritual inside of the hip-hop culture now. In order for you to get put on and to reach the $200, $300 million club, you have to go through this ritual. The same ritual I point out in Hollywood. Why a lot of the black men putting on dresses.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, this is definitely talked about, and it's critical.
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about the black men in dress syndrome, and Dave Chappelle, he was on Oprah, or one of those shows, talking about how he's not going to put on the dress. This young guy, Brandon T. Jackson, who's a new brother, they got him in a dress now in Big Mama's House Part 2.
Right. Wow.
So that I know about how they get down out here in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But you say there's an initiation in the hip-hop game. How is the initiation? How does that play out?
Well, the initiation plays out to the degree where I often said that if you want to operate in the $200, $300, $400 million club, then these people have to bind you to them forever.
Right.
So just like in any sorority or fraternity, you go through a ritual. And the ritual that you go through, in some cases, only in some cases, is a homosexual ritual. It's not strange. It's strange for us, but in secret societies, it's common.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of things that you have to do when you join in fraternities and sororities, in gangs and clubs, and the boule and all this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Now, you talked about in some of your lectures about how music frequencies affect the population, and I've been talking to scholars about this documentary, and we found that in Africa they would use music and use musical notes and sound notes to literally heal people. That was really the original purpose for music. It was a healing process. So people should understand, if music can heal, it can harm as well. Physically, it can cause physical harm. Let's speak about that, man.
Well, the deeper science, I studied Lela Africa's work when you talk about music, speaking, and sound vibrations.
Yeah.
And dealing with your aura and dealing with the chakras. Well, the chakras are your energy centers.
Yeah.
The chakras, the 7 wheels of light. It's and they spin and they act as energy centers, and a lot of us just don't know this metaphysical science. But the sound vibrations can actually affect a lot of things. The vital organs, your mood, and matter of fact, you were right. We actually use music to heal during ceremonies. Even when you deal with the spine, there's certain vibratory frequencies and sounds and notes that actually activate certain points on the spinal cord.
Yeah.
In dealing with the Kundalini energy. So, we could get into the deeper sciences, but we need to understand that just from the rip, that music does affect us. This is why they have not only aromatherapy, but different therapy, and they use sound. They use sound to get people excited to go spend money and to get you in the mood for sex and this kind of thing. So it's very, very critical.
Yeah.
Very critical.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what do you think they have planned for 2011, man? Because we're starting off the year with these animals dying. So what do you think we have in store, they have in store for us? What do people of color, and just people in general, what should we be looking out for 2011 that's going on with the government, the elite, all these people out here? What should we look out for?
Well, if we read the Learned Elders of Zion, if we read the Secret Covenant, if we read some of these things, we would have an idea already what's coming down the pipe. If we read the 21 Goals of the Illuminati, we would know. But we have to study. We have to get our spirit in line, not only with God itself, but we have to connect. You understand what I'm saying? Like-minded people, in order to warn other people what's coming down the pipe. We've been warning them. Like right now, you and I shouldn't be drinking fluoridated water. You know, right now, you and I you shouldn't be using a microwave. We shouldn't be eating meat. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, we should be using different kinds of condoms other than the ones with the Noxenol 9. We should be taking safety precautions. We shouldn't be vaccinating our children. If we're not even at that point yet, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And people are not going to believe you and I. They're not going to believe you and I. Plain and simple.
What do you
there's some big things that we should put in place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the economy? Because a lot of people have been talking about the Amero. Do you think that's going to pop up anytime soon where people are going to start using a different currency? How do you feel about the economy, the American economy, because a lot of stuff is being outsourced to other nations, and there have been crashes in other nations. Like there was a financial collapse in Greece. What do you think is going on with our economy?
Well, I knew you just didn't say our economy. Shit, we ain't got no damn economy. It's America's economy. You kind of took me back just there.
Yeah.
Like, our economy, they're no American. They don't include you.
Yeah.
They don't make decisions with you in mind. That's one step away from saying our house, master.
Exactly.
Hell nah. But yeah. Well, let me digest that thought for a second.
Yes.
Yeah, we do have to understand that. Yeah, it's on its way out. You understand what I'm saying? It is truly on its way out. And Elijah Muhammad predicted it, that this economy would come to a crashing halt. You understand what I'm saying? And we will see it, and other countries would flush it down the toilet, and we will see it falling, and we would have to wave goodbye to the American economy. It's just that we can't get caught up in it. Are you following me?
Yes.
And we have to understand it to that degree, and it's on its way out. There's some people that wish to prop it up and hold it up, but it's not going to work. America on its way out, and we can say, as a matter of fact, America's already been bought and sold.
Who's it been bought by?
Well, you kind of figure that the couple of $1 trillion that China has of American stake in America, Japan and other countries that have stock in America can actually bring America to its knees.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that to that degree.
Absolutely. Okay, well, Griff, man, any parting words, man? What do you have going on in the future? I know you're working on a book right now. What other parting words do you have? What's happening with Mr. Professor Griff?
Well, I don't want to sound like it's all doom and gloom, because the people who listen to this will be like, wow, so what the hell do I do? Just slit my wrist?
Yeah, exactly.
No, we have to get our spirit right, and we have to be in tune with self. We have to be in tune with one another, and we have to be in tune with that divine spirit. And I'm promising you that everything will be all right once we do that. Everybody ain't gonna make it, bro. Plain and simple. Everybody's just not gonna make it.
Do you think we need to? Do you think that we need to connect people over here, black people over here? Do you think we should have a stronger connection with people, brothers in Africa? How do you feel about that Pan-Africanist vibe that I think we should have?
Yeah, we need to write that down. Take 2 sets of notes. We need to write that down,
Yes.
And definitely connect like Malcolm tried to connect us with our brothers and sisters on the continent. He got that concept from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Of course, we need to take note of what the Moors are doing to regain our sovereignty, but we need to do it as a nation of people. We need to be a nation, a sovereign nation. Elijah Muhammad taught that to us also, a nation within a nation. And of course, we need to come out of America. We need to own some of this territory in this land that we can call our own. I'm not saying pack up and leave like Marcus Mosiah Garvey taught us. It's an option, but nonetheless, we need dual citizenship. Are you following me?
Absolutely.
Every other people in America have dual citizenship. Jewish people, German people, Italian people, Mexican people. You know, a lot of people have Irish people have dual citizenship. There's nothing wrong with us having dual citizenship and having some territory that we can call our own. There's a Chinatown. There's a little Italy. There's Jewish-controlled parts of the city. What's wrong with black people doing that?
Absolutely.
They have an economy within inside of an economy. If the American economy go bad, Jewish people will survive. Italian people will survive. What is wrong with us doing that? Are you following me?
Absolutely.
So I'm writing my book, The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop, which I'm almost done. I'm taking time out to do things like this because I think it's necessary.
Yes.
And I think you are key, and you are very necessary for us as a people. But the Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop, which there's a chapter in it called The Synagogue of Satan, which deals with the Illuminati's takeover of hip hop. I'm just releasing my album. Professor Griff presents the 7th Octave, and the name of the album is called The God Damage. The 7th Octave is the name of my band. And doing some more Public Enemy stuff. And hopefully by the end of the year, my other book that I've been working on, which I lost in the fire, The Metaphysical Goddessry of the Soul of Hip Hop, will be out.
Perfect.
And I want to thank you for your time and giving me the time to bless these sacred airways.
Absolutely.
My phone number is 678-557-2919. You can get my book and check out what I'm doing at www.professorgriffinfo.wordpress.com. And you can just go on YouTube and put in Professor Griff, man, and just sit back, get some iced tea or some hot tea, and sit back and enjoy the ride, man.
Yeah, absolutely. My man, hey, brother, I appreciate you being on the show, man. Best of luck to you, man. Keep doing your thing. Keep getting this information out there. Man, you have an open door policy on the show. Whenever you want to come and promote the books, man, you're wide open. Come on down. Chop up game with us, man. And I'm going to have all my listeners get your book when it comes out, man. All right?
Oh, give thanks. I really appreciate that. And please make sure I get a digital copy of this particular program right here, all right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, brother.
Like I said, you can just send it. You can send it to my email address, ProfessorGriffPE@gmail.com. But thank you, good brother. I really appreciate it. As I always I always say, revolution is not an event; it's a process, man. Peace.
Peace. Thank you, brother. All right, people. That's been today's episode of the Mack Lessons Radio Show. Again, I'd like to thank Professor Griff for coming on the show. This brother brings that fire, brings that heat with everything he do. So big ups to him. And don't forget, everybody, check out MackLessons.com to get all the pay-per-view specials, to get all the DVDs, and check out TariqElite.com to get the sunglasses and the exclusive Risque Elite by Tariq Elite cologne to step your Valentine's Day Mackin' game up. And I will holler at you guys next week. Peace.
Place you feel me is hardly out of reach when I preach. You feel it creep in the depths of your mental cab, 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 in the depths of your mental cab.